Okay, I like my fish and chips. You've got to buy the dips. And when soccer's in Qatar, they all beg for water. I'm quitting that British accent right now, boys. It's time. The soccer Lombardi is being played for right now. This is serious. World Cup's happening. We've got our esteemed guest. He's not a guest. He's a co-host. The esteemed soccer fan, Max, right here. I'm a little less knowledgeable about this soccer, but it doesn't matter. I know it. I got it. This soccer's coming home. I'm taking this World Cup prediction title right here.
All right, guys, as you noticed, we aren't very big soccer fans. As you can just see towards the start, he was using his British accent and literally said soccer, not football. So we're already to a rough start. Also, I mean, like, we haven't talked about much. Are we going to do a point system for this, or is it just like if you get it right, you get like a point?
I don't know, whatever the point system in this is here, Max.
I don't know what it is, but I guess it'll work out.
We're rolling with it as things go along.
Yeah, we're going to look back at this later. Okay, so first, we got just a little background for the World Cup. There are 8 groups labeled A to H.
Yupper.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure. 4 teams in each group, so that means there's 32 teams. And then 2 teams from each group go on to the playoffs. And it's just like normal bracket. So, Sam, you want to start it, or should I start it?
I have historically always started it for the NFL, but we're going across the pond to the land of football. I think Maximilian needs to start us off.
Alright, I'll start us off. Well, in our first group, we got one of the most underwhelming groups in my opinion, but it's going to be a very intriguing group to look at, as there are some very close games involved in this one. We got Qatar, the host nation, in Group A, along with Senegal, Ecuador, and Netherlands, if you don't know your flags or abbreviations. Something that I've noticed in previous World Cups that I've watched, Brazil and Russia, those 2 teams both made it out of their group and made it past round 1. But Brazil did get embarrassed by Germany in their own World Cup. And that was just embarrassing. So, I don't think Qatar is any way on the level of Russia and Brazil. So I personally got Qatar. Oh, we go first?
Max, this is first to last.
Okay.
I don't know what you're...
But,
you can press reset. But...
Yeah, I'll reset. But, guys, I haven't practiced at all with this. Okay, so we gotta make it symmetrical. Ish. Okay. So obviously I've got Netherlands being first in Group A. They're by far the dominant team in this. I honestly see them either having 7 points or 9 points, which means 2 wins and 1 loss, or all 3 wins. What do you have for first place in Group A?
First place, I can't copy Max. I was actually just ruminating about this right now. They call me Roomy the way I be doing my... I'm not doing whirling dervishes to contemplate it. Shout out English class, boys. But, I took a look at some of these World Cup qualifying scores. The one thing that stood out to me, 3rd place in CONMEBOL, Ecuador.
Oh.
Their ranking, it shot up. It's going through the moon. Call it Dogecoin, the way it be spiking up. That's not a very good allegory, the way it just absolutely collapsed. I'm taking Ecuador. I feel like South America always seems to do quite well in the World Cup. Their style of play is just a little grittier. They had to play 20 games of World Cup qualifying. They're tested, they're battle ready, they're ready to get first place in Group A.
And I'm going to go off the same here, because I actually think that's a very interesting pick and very controversial, which I like, because that's what we like to do in the sports pod. And like Sam said, they have a lot of chemistry, and they played some very good teams of Brazil and Argentina, and some other various good teams, such as Uruguay in South America and CONMEBOL. So, like Sam, I've got Ecuador also making it out of the group, but I still think Netherlands is by far more talented with just their all-around performance. They got one of the best defenses in this whole World Cup. So I got Netherlands getting first, and then Ecuador with all that experience from South America.
Yep. As much as I really wanted to make a big upset, I really was thinking about taking Senegal to get second place.
There's no
but
way.
unfortunately, I've been told that Sadio Mane will be out for the group stage, at least in the World Cup. considering that he is the only player out of. Wait, no, sorry, I do know one player for the Netherlands, Virgil van Dijk. Considering that there are just two players from this group I knew, and one of them is Sadio Mane, that means I just unfortunately cannot take Senegal as second place. We're going with the Dutch right now. The only thing I wish was that their flag was orange. That red just doesn't vibe with me. Personally, their flag needs to be the same color as their jerseys, a nice bright orange, but that's just me.
That's true. I actually agree with Sam on this one. When I first saw Netherlands playing with orange, I had no idea what country it was. But you know what?
It was
They
confusing.
are solid jerseys, though. They do look good.
I agree.
But I'm going to quickly roll through the last two. Obviously, you saw earlier by my mishap that I had Qatar last. Senegal, they're a really good team. Can I go back or not? Okay, anyway.
Probably not.
You can see Sam's. I had Senegal going third. They have a bunch of names. They won that African Cup. But Sadio Mane is out, and that is their goal scorer. Now, there are other players on that team, but I think Senegal will not make it past Ecuador and Netherlands.
Like Max said, if you can't score goals, you can't win games. 0-0 draws aren't going to cut it to move on. Unfortunately, I think Senegal will just not quite get there. And as for Qatar, whether you call them Qatar, Qatar, you know, whatever you call them, I think they get last. I could see them getting a point or two, maybe even 3, but they're getting last place in my opinion. On to Group B.
This is a very intriguing group for us Americans. Now we were researching this earlier, and it's very interesting. I was looking at the current FIFA, the rankings, and they also said this in a Thogden video, which I know you have no idea who that is. But every single team in this is a top 20, which means that this should be the most competitive group. However, I do see a lot of teams in this not performing to their capabilities. And I saw this earlier on ESPN, USA happens to be the youngest team in the World Cup. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on them. They got some solid players out there, but I just think England has just so many more names than every single team on this list.
Yes.
I could literally name 6 players on England, so I got them going number 1. Harry Kane's been playing super well recently. The only thing I'd be a little hesitant about is their defense, specifically their goalie, because Pickford has not looked the best lately, but his goalkeeping is always good in the World Cup, and England's just always a good squad. They made it to the semifinals last World Cup, so I got England being first out of this group.
You know, I'm going to use a little football knowledge and say that England has not been in good form lately.
That is so true.
Manager Gareth Southgate, is he
Yes.
still there?
Yep.
He's still there. For some reason, the squad just has been struggling a little bit. Shout out my boy Harry Maguire. They've been struggling a little bit. But like Max said, they got so much talent. This is the group of geopolitics right here. You got USA, England. You got England, Wales. You got Iran, USA. There are so many political tensions right here. These teams will be fired up, but I think England won't get 9 points. They won't get 7. I think they win this group with 6 or 5 points. But regardless, I got England getting first.
Now this is where things can get a little controversial. I've seen many people pick Wales over the US, but I just don't think I can do it. I think historically USA is such a mediocre team in group play. They always do 1 win, 1 draw, and 1 loss.
Yes.
It's always how it works, which means that they're gonna have to tie Wales first game. And if Wales doesn't beat the US, I don't see them making it past them in and out of the group. I think Wales is gonna have a rough time against Iran and definitely England. So I think USA will actually make it out of this group in second place.
You know, I was thinking, this USA squad, very young, a lot of pressure on them to bring home the soccer Lombardi this year. That might not happen, but I see a lot of talent. Do you know what I think is going to be an advantage for him? They're on the other side of the world. They're in Qatar. There won't be a lot of fans traveling to this World Cup. You know, in Russia, there were a lot of England fans. There aren't many fans that are going to be traveling to Qatar right here. It's just going to be the Qatar royal family, the the small upper class of Qatar, a few fans that choose to travel. I don't think many are going to Qatar. This is going to be a bit of an odd atmosphere. It's almost going to be like in college basketball, those like Thanksgiving tournaments.
You're not picking Iran, are you?
No.
For some reason, I was getting those vibes.
What's getting my vibes going here is that I don't think there's going to be as much pressure on the U.S. as it were to be, even with like, there's more pressure on a team with like a pro-United States crowd or a pro-England crowd. This is just going to be a bit of an odd crowd right now. They can play with a little less pressure. It being in Qatar is favorable for them. They get all 2 o'clock time slots because they pay a lot of money for TV deals. I think that's going to favor the U.S. Bold prediction. I've been talking about the U.S. a lot, but that's the only team that I know a whole lot about. I'm not a big fan of Greg Berhalter. I think he should be canned right now.
No one is a big fan of him.
Yeah. I think he made some questionable roster decisions, but I love Matt Turner. I think, bold prediction, group stage, 0 goals allowed for the U.S. Crazy.
0 goals allowed. Then how do you have England making it past the U.S.?
I'm going to go 1 goal allowed for the U.S.
Okay.
I'm actually taking a surprise. I think the U.S. tie Wales, beats England, 1776 all over again, ties Iran. We get 5 points, but England beats both Iran and Wales. So they get 6 points, U.S. gets 5, we advance second place.
Everyone come back to this moment because this could be one of those like March Madness predictions that like comes out of nowhere and it's so true. And then back to mine, I like Iran. There's a lot of good people on that team, a lot of experience, but they aren't. There's not a lot of chemistry in this team, and I feel like they haven't played that competition that's really like, to the level of England and the U.S. Wales is a different story. I think they will tie Wales, but I got Wales coming out of that, especially with Gareth Bale. That's just an easy pick for me, I think.
Boys, before this, I told Max I would be talking a lot about geopolitics. If you know anything about what's going on in Iran right now, stuff's going down. I mean, it's going to be hard. Either this team is going to be playing inspired, or more likely, in my mind, there's protests against the government right now. It's very popular among the people. I think these guys are going to be hesitating a little bit to be playing so pro and like such on a nationalistic stage right now. It's like how Ukraine was playing such inspired soccer, with what was going on. I think Iran's
and they lost. They did lose.
Yes,
they lost.
They did. But I think Iran's just not going to be as inspired right now. Wales, they're making their first World Cup appearance in a long time. Gareth Bale, he loves Wales. Wales is getting third. Iran, not doing well.
Now, Sam and I just agreed on that one, but we need to make sure that everyone realizes that we did not just have the same prediction. Like I said earlier, we need to come back to Sam's prediction. Like, the point system is so fun about the World Cup because 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, anything goes. And goal differential is the tiebreaker, I'm fairly certain. So
just make sure to go to FIFA fair play points. I remember that. I feel it was like Japan either didn't move on or did move on because of FIFA fair points scored
it's
last
just
time.
Weird.
It's a bit silly, but that's kind of the fun of the World Cup right here.
All right, the next group C. Now this is one of those times where I say it's like a now or never, right? Lionel Messi, it has to be now. It has to be. It can't be any other time. It's his last World Cup. And this time he doesn't have to carry. He's got a squad on his back. And there's just so many solid names on this team. You saw them in Common Bowl. They were neck and neck with Brazil, and Brazil has to be one of the greatest World Cup teams you've ever seen in a World Cup coming into this year. So I think with that desperation, even though Argentina historically in the group stage always has a scare, there's just nothing that beats Messi in my mind. It's got to be Argentina.
I was going to say that as well. I feel that Argentina always kind of struggles in the World Cup, but I really don't see any of these teams being able to defeat Argentina in this group. Maybe Argentina gets a draw in there, something happens. Maybe they lose to one of these teams, but I think they're still getting first place. The squad is just too talented up and down, and they got my boy Messi better than Ronaldo.
100%. Messi is so much better.
That's one thing Max and I will agree on.
It's hard to compare those two, but if you just look at longevity and just the actual skill of soccer, Messi is just unmatched.
I would agree.
Also, something about Argentina is Sam and I did say that they have not been good in the World Cup. I just want to emphasize we both being in the group stage. They have made it. They have done very well in the playoff stage in the last 2 World Cups, but the group stage is always shaky. So just clear that up. Now these two, Poland and Mexico. Poland just got bombed by Ukraine, right?
Yeah, a stray rocket hit them.
That's not enough to inspire them, is what I'm trying to say here. But I do think they make it past Mexico. Even though Mexico is a very good World Cup team, I haven't liked Mexico recently. And Lewandowski is just, he's such a solid player. He just scores. He's just scored. He's like Holland, but I got Poland.
All right. Call Max Donald Trump the way he just said, I haven't been liking Mexico recently. I've been loving Mexico recently. Just had some nice white people tacos yesterday.
Where'd you go?
The cafeteria, Max.
Oh, the cafeteria.
Max. Okay. This guy, man. Can't believe him. I actually do like Mexico to advance, though. Poland is all Lewandowski. The squad, besides him, I've heard it's just very meh. Mexico has a lot of talent. I'm very concerned about their manager, Tato Martinez. He is just like the Mexican Greg Berhalter, just making questionable decisions all around. But I think Mexico just has too much talent not to advance in this group.
And I can very well see it's going the way that Sam has going it, but I just think Poland has the little drive in them with just how good of a goal-scoring team they are. Obviously, Mexico comes next. Saudi Arabia does not match with any of these 3 teams. I'm pretty sure that Mexico won their group last World Cup. I can't be certain. I'm fairly certain they did, but I think this is their year that they don't make it out.
Okay, I'm not making the bold prediction about Saudi Arabia. Even though they border Qatar, I think Saudi Arabia might be the worst team in this World Cup. 0 points for Saudi Arabia. Poland in third.
0 points?
0 points. It's my prediction.
Okay. All right. This is where I start getting, a little bold predictions coming in. Now, some people might not say this is bold, but there are easily 2 teams that, I think we are both certain on. These 2 teams are making it out of the group stage. Mm-hmm. I don't see them any way not making it out of here. Ironically, I think Denmark, France, and Australia were both. We saw this, weren't they all 3 in the same World Cup group?
Yeah.
When we looked in our class,
they were.
They were all in the same group, and I can't remember who won it, but I know France and Denmark were the 2 that made it out. Mm-hmm. Now, Christian Eriksen might not be as good as he used to be, especially after that stroke he had on the field a couple years back. But this Denmark team is nuts. They have a lot of great players coming from all their leagues, especially Pierre-Emile Højbjerg from Tottenham. He's been playing very well recently. The goalkeeper for Denmark is pretty solid as well. Now, France, as we said earlier, England has a team that's so good that they can't lose. I think France could be at the point where they're so good. I think this is what you mentioned earlier, and was it you that mentioned this? That toppled my thinking a little bit. They might be too good up top that they're not going to find the right 3 players because they have 5 amazing players up top. They have Griezmann, Benzema, Mbappe, Giroud, someone else I'm forgetting about. But it's just so solid. It's hard to beat, but I just think they're too good to win this division. So I got Denmark getting first place. Gosh. I think Denmark could go a ways in this tournament.
Wow. Shout out Max calling it a division right now.
A division.
This American guy, this group.
A
You
group.
know,
It's a
Max flexed his jersey. I'm gonna do it again.
group. Mbappe.
Shout out my boy Mbappe. You know, this France team is stacked. Like Max said, it's the team I can name the most players for. Just, you know, go Mbappe, Griezmann, Giroud, Benzema. Pogba's injured, but, you know, yeah. Those were the 5 that I would have been able to name from the team. This is the only team I think I
Who's
can
the
name
goalkeeper
5 from.
Who's the goalkeeper of our team? Do you know? Of Tottenham?
Uh,
He's the goalkeeper for France as well.
No.
Hugo Lloris.
Hugo Lloris. I was going to say Allison, but then I'm like, he's at Liverpool, right? You know? It happens. I think France is just stacked. I like them advance from this group. 9 points.
And something that Sam he didn't reference at all, but something that he kind of emphasized, France's defense is a little shaky, especially with Pogba being out. I could see that's how Denmark exploits them a little bit and takes that top spot.
Les Blues.
But, again, these are easily the top 2 teams in the division. So many names. Sam has talked about it. I've talked about it just a tiny bit. France is second.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree. Max talked about Denmark a little more than me. You know, if Eriksson manages to pull this out, leading Denmark, they're going to call him Hamlet the way he's going to be the Prince of Denmark.
That was good. That was good.
Sorry, I was working on that one for the last 30 seconds.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. Denmark, they're just better than Australia and Tunisia. They're moving on.
Tunisia's looked very good recently, but Australia just, for some reason, always comes 3rd place in the World Cup. So that's just where I'm going to put them.
You know, I was watching the Australia-Peru game for the playoff. I just loved their goalie going out for the penalty kicks. Like, you know, I'm forgetting his name, but he was so energetic. Unfortunately, for the Socceroos from Australia, one of the few countries that actually does call it soccer. So, that's right.
Soccer.
That goalie won't get a chance to be a penalty kick specialist because they're not advancing from their group. They've got their other stinky goalie in. So I think that Tunisia is actually going to be able to sneak out a 3rd place in front of Australia.
I like it.
Gets last.
Group E. This is one of my game time decisions where I still haven't decided which are my top 2. Which might surprise a lot of people. It's just whether will Germany let themselves get knocked out again. I don't think they will, but there's always a chance because this Japan team has looked so good. Obviously, how you can tell, I don't think Costa Rica's making it out, but I got Spain at number 1, solid squad. I don't like De Gea at goalie, but they're just too good not to put them at first.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got Spain at first place.
You know, I've got a message from Max about that. Ich darf tun das tun. You know, roughly translated in Germany, that means I don't speak German. Max is a nincompoop. That means that I think that Germany's winning this group right here.
Oh!
Why? Couldn't overly tell you. I just got a gut feeling for some reason that Germany's pulling this out. They had a real down World Cup last year. They kind of alternate every other World Cup being good versus stinking it up. They're not going to have another terrible performance. They might not succeed that well in the knockout stage, but I think they're able to just pull out this group. I'm going to say they get a tie versus Spain, but that'll be enough for them to move on as first place in the group.
Something I just thought about. Sam, you know, you talked about Germany a little bit, but I want to talk about them just a little bit more. I watched a video on them, and it said that they're bringing in a lot of new players, which kind of surprised me because they have a lot of veterans in that group that can still play. They said they made that team a lot younger, which makes me think that they're just restarting. It's kind of like a USA moment too. Like they're like a little bit younger as well. And I did pick USA to get out of the group. And as much as I want to be controversial, if Germany's actually making an attempt to make like their next World Cup squad, I think that they're gonna make it out of the group stage.
Interesting.
But are they too young? Are they have the veterans on the team that make them? You know what? I made my decision. Germany's making it out.
Oh, interesting. You know, as for Spain, Me gusta España para ganar el grupo. I do know just un poco español, so that's enough for me to say that I think that Spain is gonna win in their group. They're gonna get second right here. That should be enough. I think they might struggle a little bit early on. Just once again, kind of my feeling about Spain right here. I think they've got a talented squad, but they just need a little bit of time to pull it together. I could see them being upset by Japan or something and not moving on, but I think they've got a lot of talent up and down their roster. They're going to get second in the group.
I have a question. Do you have your phone on you right now?
Yeah.
Can you look up the schedule for this group? Because I might make a change depending on the schedule.
I feel for
Give
some
me a couple
reason
seconds.
that Germany and Japan, not Germany and Japan, that Germany
That's
and
the game I
Spain
wanna know.
play late on.
Oh, if it's late, then I understand. If Germany and Japan both play in the last game, I'm picking Japan over Germany. Only if Japan is the last team.
Oh, whoops! I just schedule World Cup. Okay, so first match day is Germany, Japan, Spain, Costa Rica.
I gotta pick Germany over Japan. Germany is gonna come out hotter than Japan, which means that they're gonna beat Japan out. They're gonna win or they're gonna tie. I like Germany more than Japan in the first game, which means I'm gonna have to pick Germany over Japan.
Those two squads play exactly a week from when we were recording this. Actually, kind of less than that, about 6.5 days because of the Qatar times. But, I don't see Costa Rica doing much. Japan is getting third. I could see Japan advancing. I think there's no way the Costa Ricans advance. Japan's getting third.
And I do want to say it now. Costa Rica is not a bad team. It's just that they're playing a very solid group. Would you agree, or would you just say they're not fit for the World Cup?
I mean, they're a bottom 5 team in the World Cup. They're not getting out of a hard group.
I wouldn't say they're bottom 5, but close to bottom 5 in my opinion. This one's interesting for me as well. Earlier on, I thought Canada could make it out of this group, but I no longer think that now.
Does the Alphonso Davies injury mean anything?
That it means a lot to me, really.
Okay.
You're losing basically one of the top 2 biggest names on your team, other than Jonathan Davis. Jonathan David. I said Davis. I meant David. Jonathan David.
I don't know.
Who's their goal scorer? But something that scares me about Belgium is just they've gotten really old, and they're not as good as they used to be, in my opinion. However, yes, they are a top 5 team in the FIFA World Rankings, and Croatia did have a very good last World Cup. When you're old, you do have experience, so I will give them first place. But that's just barely. I think Croatia could get just above them, but...
This group is very interesting. Bold prediction here. I made a couple of these. No one in this group gets more than 5 points.
Ooh!
That might be a little hard to happen, but...
I don't think that's happening. I can put almost all my money on that not happening.
This guy here. I'm sure it's happened in history.
Oh, it has. It has.
I've never looked at that, but I think this is definitely a group where it could happen. I don't think the top team Belgium is really that good. I don't think, and the bottom team Canada by FIFA rankings is actually underrated in my mind. I think all 4 of these teams are very evenly matched. But like Max said, I think experience is going to matter. I think it's going to matter if they've had success in the World Cup before. I think it's going to matter if your captain, Luka Modric, is 37. He's still playing great, too. Modric, in great form for Real Madrid. Croatia's taken the group. And I love their jerseys.
Their jerseys are very solid. You got those checkered red and white ones. We did see a very good Croatian team last time. Now, I think they're 2 difference makers, personally, even though Modric did win I think it's the Golden Boot. Maybe that's the trophy
He
for...
won something.
Yeah, in the last World Cup. I think their vital players are actually Rakitic and Perisic, who have not had the best years this year so far, which is why I have them in second. But like I gave an excuse for Belgium, they're also a very experienced team, so I got them making it out of the group.
Like I said, this group, very close. No one more than 5 points. But like all Max said, I think Belgium, they're old, but they've got talent. I still can't believe that they're number 2 in the FIFA World Cup rankings as of a little bit ago. I don't know if they still are, but they're definitely still top 5. I don't think they're that good, but they're going to do enough to advance here in Group F.
This prediction is based solely off of performance against America. Canada has beat us, Morocco hasn't, and frankly, I think America looks so much better than Morocco in that game. So, picking Canada over Morocco.
You know, in my mind, I don't really know. These two teams are going to be very close. No one in this group is going to get 0 points. No one in this group, maybe one of these teams will get 1 point, but everyone's good. It's practically a coin flip. I feel that I haven't been given that much love to the African squads, so I'm going to give Morocco 3rd place. Gut feeling.
Gut feeling. All right. The group of death, as they've named it.
Oh, have that.
Very interesting, group. However, I did say this earlier. Brazil is just such a stacked squad. You got names everywhere. You got Gabriel Jesus and Neymar as their best attacking players. I also like Coutinho, very solid player. And then, as Sam didn't know earlier, Alisson does play goalkeeper for this team, who is number 1 and best goalkeeper in the world. I'm not sure of that, but that's what people say. And then you also have Ederson as backup, so you literally have top 2 of the top 20 goalkeepers on your team, which shows you how much competition there is in this squad. So, I think Brazil is going to take 1st place in this group.
I also like Brazil to take 1st place in this group, but bold prediction, I do believe their opening match is against Serbia. I've got Serbia winning that game. I think Brazil's going to have a lot of pressure being the World Cup favorites going into this. They got a lot of players that, they clinched their World Cup spot very early. They kind of rested some of their players and didn't get them used to playing with each other as much as they really could have in World Cup qualifying, which, would help them to be fresher. But I think it's going to lead to a little bit of growing pains in the first game or two. I've got Serbia beating Brazil, but Brazil blows out Switzerland and Cameroon, beating both of those teams by a combined 5 goals.
Ooh.
Another bold prediction from me. Well, if one of these bold predictions pans out, I'm going to love it. Brazil advances 6 points, 1st in the group.
Maybe I just need to make more bold predictions so I just come back to it and say, oh, I was the first one to say that.
If one of my 5 bold predictions lands, I'm just going to be celebrating so much because I seem so smart, but who knows?
If you watch any soccer at all and you see any ICs at the end of the name, it's most likely Serbian or Croatian. So if you got one of those more longer names, it's probably Serbian. So some that I can name, most specifically Mitrovic, who plays for Fulham, who I think is so solid at striking position and can just score. But I am so impressed with Switzerland's performance in the Euros and in World Cup qualifying, because they went 5 wins and 3 draws in World Cup qualifying. And I think it was over Portugal, who are favored. I don't know if they're favored wins in Group H with Uruguay.
I think they are favored
over Uruguay, but
in the odds.
I'm just impressed with this Switzerland squad. They always have tight games. That's the problem. So I do have Switzerland just edging out Serbia. I could easily see Serbia in 2nd place, which I know Sam is about to put because we've talked about this. But I'm putting Switzerland in 2nd.
I'm a big looking at the betting markets type of guy. I was actually shocked to see Switzerland favored in the betting markets over Serbia to advance. It wasn't big, but they were favored right there. First of all, I would just like to plus, why is Switzerland abbreviated as SUI? I've always wondered that, but...
Because that's how they spell Switzerland in Switzerland. Sam is uncultured.
Well, I'm not uncultured. Then why do they abbreviate Germany as GER and not...
They don't. It's DEU. If you look at it in the...
It wasn't on here.
It is in Telemundo. In Telemundo, it is. America has a problem, but, they switch it up on us.
Shout out Telemundo. But regardless of the fact, it's time to talk a little bit more about geopolitics. Max was just a little culturally offensive, talking about the itches in Croatia and Serbia, but he's talking about something that makes sense. The Balkan Wars. Croatia and Serbia hate each other. Former Yugoslav republics. This is like seeing your worst enemy just have great success in the World Cup. Serbia is going to come out with a vengeance right here. It's partly why I think they're going to knock off Brazil. I think, they might lose to Switzerland. They might pick up 2 draws, but whatever the case, they're going to get in second. They have an itch. All these itches have an itch to do well in this World Cup, and they're going to advance.
I just realized something and I feel like an idiot, but fair warning, that's my side. That's Sam's side.
Oh gosh.
I didn't even think about that, but maybe I'll just reference it towards the beginning of the podcast. But I just realized, should we switch it?
Do you
Or just
think
keep it?
you can put a text just for the whole video, just like
Oh yeah, I'll just.
Sam,
That's
Max?
it. It'll be difficult and it'll be a lot of dragging to do on this editing, but I'll do it for the
Okay,
culture.
I don't know how long that takes, but
It'll take a while, but.
thank you, Max. Thank you.
Like I said earlier, just got Serbia just getting edged out by Switzerland. I like the Yugoslav and Balkan War analogy a lot, but I think that's in the past. It's all about quality of football at this point.
Gosh, Max sees all the landmines still in the Balkans. He wouldn't say it's in the past, but I was actually going to take Cameroon in third until Max talked about Switzerland's success in World Cup qualifying. That's convinced me enough that they're not going to finish behind Cameroon. I've got the Swiss.
I'm actually sad that I swayed you out of that because that would have been 2 automatic points to me. But you know what? It's whatever. This one, I went to the USA-Uruguay game, first national game I've ever been to for the U.S. Very dull game until the end when Cavani missed that wide open shot, but that made me happy. However, I don't see him doing that in the World Cup. And yes, Ronaldo has the same situation as Messi, but I think it's more to the point where Ronaldo's getting carried than where the other side where Messi is actually a major part of the team. I think Ronaldo only has nowadays a shot and a free kick. That's all he's got, in my opinion. Now that might offend a lot of people. Maybe that's just because I'm a big Messi fan, but the Uruguay squad looked impressive to me at that game. It looked impressive in CONMEBOL. Gotta go Uruguay.
Sorry to hop on the bandwagon train like Max said, but I've got another bold prediction. Ronaldo has already scored his last World Cup goal. He's not scoring in this World Cup
He's
right
not
now.
scoring?
We'll see if I put Portugal in second place. I think that Uruguay's got a good squad right now. I've heard that they're the front runners right now to host along with Argentina, Chile, and Paraguay for the 2030 World Cup. Maybe that's in the back of their mind. But Suarez, you've got an up-and-coming group of Uruguayans ready to help this team compete. I've got them first place in this group, where I don't think any of these teams is top 10, top 12, but Uruguay will do enough to pull it out.
Okay. Second, I do think Portugal is a great team, and that's why I do have them in second. Now, I do love my boy's son from Korea, but that team was only impressive against Germany in their last game against them in the 2018 Russia World Cup. And the other 2 games were not very good. That's why I got Portugal beating them out.
As much as I like Son, as much as I don't like Ronaldo, but I do like some of the rest of the roster, I got one message. It's waka waka eh. Sorry, that's a little offensive, but I feel in every World Cup there's always one African team that kind of surprises you. I've got it as Ghana for this year. They don't have very good odds to make it out of this group. One of the worst of the African teams. I think Morocco and Senegal had some decent odds to make it out. I think that Ghana's going to surprise you in this group right here.
This is where Sam's lack of soccer knowledge is going to bite him. There's absolutely no chance that Ghana's getting second place in this group. I got Korea. I got Korea easily beating them out on this one. They are a solid enough team. They've looked great in Asian qualifying. They got Korea. moving on.
Okay. And as for me,
Or not moving on, just third place.
I don't really know who's moving on. But Korea had a great World Cup 4 years ago. Moving on, I believe they beat Germany, right, to knock
There's
them out.
no way you put Portugal in last place.
But as I was going to be saying, I don't think that Magic's going to lead on. I can't believe Son is 30 already, actually. And I saw that, I was like, wow. But regardless, that's kind of a random interlude. I think Portugal, there's just too much talent on this squad not to at least get third. They're moving on.
All right.
And now, it's time for the knockout stage. Continue.
Face off. Oh, I like the format.
Continue. Okay.
Oh.
So this, winner of Group A versus loser of Group B.
Okay. When I look at this, I'm really liking what I see over at Sam's bracket, but looking at mine, Netherlands versus USA. Netherlands are so much more talented than the US. And I guarantee you if this game happens, the US are not scoring, even in overtime. The only chance is penalty kicks, which I don't think it will come to. Netherlands, I got moving on.
Okay. And as for this game, Ecuador-USA, I feel, would be a really fun game to watch for some reason. I don't think this would be a low-scoring game. I think this is a high-scoring affair. We're going to say 3-2 in extra time with a Weston McKennie absolute shot from deep outside the box. USA moves on.
Okay, before you scroll down on mine,
I'll let
guys,
Max
I know
scroll down on
you can see the Argentina right here, baby. I don't know if you can from right where it's projected.
Who knows?
But I did pick France to get second, and this is gonna potentially bring one of the best games in the first round
Oh, man.
of. I'll just keep Netherlands right here. Do you want me to scroll down on yours or just keep?
Nah, I'll just scroll down on mine.
Now, this game, a lot of people would be nervous about, and I am too, because I'm a Messi fan. Now, if we look at the last World Cup, what was the score of this game in the quarters? This happened in the quarters in 2018, Russia, and France won 4-3. A very high
I remember
scoring
that game. That might have been the game of the
Very
World Cup.
intriguing game. Such a fun game. Now, like I said earlier, France, and from what I've seen a lot, they're struggling a little bit. You know, the more teams they play, for some reason, the worse they've done. And, I mean, I love my boy Messi. He ain't losing. Moving on. Against Netherlands.
Oh, Max said his boy Messi ain't losing. I agree with that. Argentina ain't losing this game right here versus Denmark. You know, it's a nice 1 o'clock Eastern time game. The Argentinians will be watching this. Unlike that 9 a.m. Eastern game for the U.S., might be a little early for some of us Americans, especially that's probably on a weekday too, you know. A little rough for some of us fans, but in Ahmed Bin Ali Stadium, I think Argentina pulls it off 2-0.
I like it.
Another
Moving on-
great matchup. for
Moving on
Max.
to my matchups. You know what? Just looking at these four games, my
The
four
other
games,
side of the bracket
my-
might be a little weak.
my
for
four
Max, I don't
games
know.
were quite amazing, and this one's gonna be a very good game. Man, it's just the Croatian army gonna stay from the last World Cup. So from what I've seen, people are so confident in Spain, but this is my opinion. I'm picking Croatia.
Oh,
They're
man.
moving on, baby. They're having another miracle year.
Crazy. Spain is in Spain without the S right now, based on what Max is saying.
Spaniard.
Did you get no, Matt? I said they're in Spain without the S. Did you get my joke?
Pain.
Yes, there you go.
They're in pain. I got it.
Okay, I've got two different teams here: Germany and Belgium. Actually, very similar flags. A tiny portion of Belgium does speak German. This is a very interesting rival here. A nice matchup. However, if you recall, World War I, Germany invades Belgium to get to France. World War II, Germany invades Belgium to get to France. France, I'm not exactly sure where they are. I think they're probably on the other side of the bracket right now. But Germany is going to try to invade Belgium to get to France. Belgium's going to say, not this time, bucko.
That was not what I was expecting.
Not in World War III. Belgium stands up to the German war machine.
I was not expecting that at all. As we move on to this game, Brazil versus Portugal.
Very interesting geopolitics of this one again, too.
Come on.
Colonizer versus colonized.
You know what? Yes, a large population of Brazil does speak Portuguese. Now, I'm loving this matchup because this means that the Ronaldo train is gonna end. Brazil is so good. They're not getting knocked out in the first round of the World Cup. When's the last time that's ever happened? They're beating Portugal.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Interesting. So, I've got Brazil versus Ghana here. Watch this game. It could be sneaky close. I'm kidding. I've got 7-1 Brazil.
Oh,
Maybe not 7-1.
Wait, do you know what's ironic about what you just said?
I know the score
Yeah,
there.
okay.
I think they avenge.
You should have picked Germany to move on. They could have had a rematch.
You know, I wasn't smart enough to do that. I didn't know it was coming next. But I'm saying Brazil's 7-1 in this game. They avenge their 2014 World Cup demons right here.
I like that. They also have demons from the last World Cup. That was embarrassing loss. Okay. England versus Ecuador. This is an easy decision for me. It's coming home. England.
Oh man. Interesting prediction by Max there. Guess what?
Oh.
I got England versus the Netherlands. You know what? Call me William of Orange the way I take this.
Oh.
Football isn't coming home. Football is going to the Dutch. That didn't exactly work, but the Tulips of Amsterdam are going wild. I think they upset England in Al Bayt Stadium.
Okay. All right. Next game. Also, like Sam said, I think this is becoming more of a lackluster side. Denmark Poland is not going to be a very good game in my opinion. I think this would be a blowout for Denmark, honestly.
Ooh.
I think I would see this game going 3-0. Maybe 3-1 probably because of Lewandowski, but Denmark moving on in that game for me.
Interesting. In my next matchup here, France versus Mexico. Ooh. Max, do you happen to remember Cinco de Mayo at
Mexico won in France.
Mexico won in France. My theme of this so far has been avenging geopolitical losses so far. I've talked about that a number of times. History, wars. France can't stand that right now. Napoleon III is coming.
Oh my goodness.
Whoever the Cinco de Mayoans are rolling in their graves. France avenging their loss right here.
We should almost call this side the revenge side.
The revenge
This is
side.
like revenge.
The Netherlands. Sorry, I suppose the Netherlands.
Nah, the Dutch had
we
Dutch
won't
had
talk
a
about that. We won't talk about it.
Belgium Germany. That's actually a very solid game.
Oh yeah.
And this one,
Wait,
you know what?
I had that game too, but I had Germany winning and Belgium second in their group.
Wait.
Yeah.
What'd you have? Wait, oh yeah. Wait.
I had that game too, but on the other side of the bracket.
Yeah, wait, what'd you say? You said Belgium.
I said Belgium.
You know what? I'm confident in Germany this year. Germany is moving past an old Belgium team.
Max is confident in the team that he said second place in the group right there.
Almost third place and knocked out. But
Yeah, hey, Max is suddenly confident after
when
he
it comes to the knockout
I
stage,
didn't like them.
there's no one like Germany.
Oh, now this is a great game right here in my opinion. Croatia, Spain. I think this will be an intense matchup. I could see this one being the game of the tournament, like that Argentina-France game was last year. Modric playing against some of his pals from Real Madrid, who knows. But I'm really liking Spain right here to pull out this game. I think Spain could go on a run right now. Give me España.
España.
They get ESP, but Germany gets GER. I don't understand this. We'll have to talk about this some other time.
You know what? I'm starting to look at my next game in the matchup versus Germany. I might start pulling some upsets coming up here.
Oh.
Uruguay versus Switzerland. I've been on the Switzerland train, you know. I like Cavani. I like Cavani. I like their team. But you know what? This is a European squad that's got through a lot of adversity and gotten big wins.
Mm-hmm.
Can we move sideways?
Yeah.
There you go.
I'll have to do that. And go up to
Boom.
Okay.
Oh, a little farther.
A little too far there, corduroy. But, you know, my final game, we've got the Uruguayans versus the Serbs right here.
Ooh, interesting.
A really interesting matchup right here between two teams that are kind of slept on, I feel. Both these teams are in the tier, they're not World Cup favorites, but I think they're sneaky to watch out for, that they could both make a run. Here, I just have a little bit more confidence in Serbia to have an ability to make a run. Both of these teams, I think, are solid. This one's going to PKs, but Serbia pulls it out.
Love it.
Oh, yes. Ba, 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 ba.
You know what? I'd say actually even go farther right so you can see like who you picked. I made a mistake here. I think we should go farther right.
Whoops. Like that?
Even more. Just one more.
Okay. Maximum.
Alright, so first game in the quarters, we got Netherlands versus Argentina. Now, Netherlands, very talented squad, but have they played enough good teams in this World Cup to be at the point where they're going to meet Argentina, who's a very solid squad, and pull out a great performance? I think not. This powerful Argentina team, who's had some rough games so far, I think they're going to come out and beat Netherlands. You know what? I think it's going to be another high-scoring game, just like that France game. It's going to be like 3-2.
Interesting. You know, I saw a very funny meme yesterday. It was talking about Argentina for their centennial celebration sometime in the mid-1900s. A bunch of countries all over the world sent them gifts. You know, statues of Argentinian leaders, symbols of freedom, whatnot. You want to know what America sent them? A big statue of George Washington. Celebrating Argentinian independence. We were just like, here's this guy who helped us get independence 100 years before you losers got independence. Argentina still remembers that, or probably not. I just thought it was very funny. I think Argentina's squad is just more talented than the American squad. Maybe in 4 years things might be different. Maybe in 8 years things might be different. But right now, Argentina just has too much talent to lose this game.
No, I don't even think it's that. I think it's just the revenge, honestly. I think it's the fact that it's a revenge game for Sam here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, scrolling down. Ooh, Croatia versus Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
We'll move it here so you can see it, and then I'll scroll back. Interesting game. This would have been a really good game, I feel like, in 2018 for the World Cup. But I think Brazil is too dominant for this Croatian team. And, you know, a lot of solid players on Croatia. But, I mean, I know I haven't talked much about Brazil. I've just been saying that they're good. And they are. They're winning this game. And you know what? I don't really like this next game. Argentina versus Brazil. You know what? You talk about your game. I'll be right back because I gotta look something up.
Alrighty, boys. You know, hey, both Max and I think we're setting up the same thing right here. Brazil versus Argentina. Right now, in this Brazil versus Belgium game, I just see Brazil. They, after their 7-1 game, they're suddenly on a roll. They feel like they've got this. Belgium's old legs finally catch up to them a little bit here. Brazil is going to be able to pull it off against Belgium at the Education City Stadium. And once again, like on Max's side of the bracket, we're setting up Argentina-Brazil semifinal. It's going to be absolutely huge. Trust me. If both those teams win their groups and then win 2 games, that's what it's going to be in this World Cup. Will be exciting.
Okay, are you at the same spot I am?
Yeah.
Who'd you just pick? I just want to be
I picked Brazil.
over.
Who was it? Belgium.
Okay. And that's a revenge game because that was the embarrassing loss in 2018. Belgium beat out Brazil, and that was just not a good day for Brazil. But you know what? Next game, you got England versus Denmark. Decisions here. England versus Denmark. Tough game. Tough game, in my opinion. Would you say this is a tough game? I want to know.
You know, I would say it's a tough game too. I just want to point out that Max and I both have two games very similar on the flags here. The reverse image and the reverse, and if you flip it, it's the same, and it's basically the reverse
Close
image right
games,
there.
yeah. That's pretty cool.
Sorry.
No, that's a good point.
They call me the vexologist the way I love my flags.
You know what? England's been struggling lately, like Sam said earlier, and I'm just riding on this Denmark train. I think this is where England, their run stops.
Interesting.
Denmark having a heck of a year.
Heck of a year indeed. You know, I feel like I took a number of upsets in my group stage. I'm not taking an upset here. I just think once you get to the knockout stage, teams just get dialed in. MMG calls them and asks, "Are you dialed?" And they just have to say yes. Their teams have gotten 4 games to really gel together. Their squad is rolling. They've hopefully found out some things that are working. And this is where talent really matters in these games right here. And ultimately, France, they got the talent, they got the squad, they beat the Dutch.
Okay, I'm just looking at previous games for this Germany versus Switzerland game. Let me really quick show you what the last game ended up being.
Oh.
Alright, everyone, if you can see
That's
this.
women's.
Oh, what? That's not helpful. I was gonna say that was incredible.
My man's here looking up the women's scores, you know?
I didn't mean to do that. Here, I just wanna. Okay. Yeah, like I thought, it was. You know, not a lot of meetings actually recently, but they have all been ties. Look at these. The 2 recent ones have been ties.
Oh, man.
So, Germany and Switzerland have had 2 close ties. Now, I don't think the Switzerland team. No, I think it's so gutsy that I picked Switzerland this far that I'm gonna have to pick Germany here. I think Germany. I've gotten to the point where I have to ride this train, and you're gonna see my finals matchup. It's gonna be very interesting.
Oh, interesting. Germany, Denmark. Insane. You know, I've got a very intriguing game right here. Spain, Serbia. I think this would be another real good game right here. These squads, they're not going to be able to settle it in 90 minutes. But I think Spain is always a team. I feel they got a little magic to them. I think that they're going to pull this out against the Serbs and get to a stacked Final Four right here at Al Thumama Stadium.
Althumama.
Al Thumama. Your mama.
Alright, let's scroll this mine over a little bit. It's a little too much. Alright. The game that also could be very well the best game in the tournament. I'm looking at this CONMEBOL standings, right?
Yep.
And now I'm seeing it. While Brazil did get first place, both teams in both of their 17 games did not lose once. They both won or drew every game, which means that
means that they drew each other.
That means they drew each other. And man, like I said, I told you that this final is going to be an interesting final. And you'll see why. I got Messi moving on. Come on, guys. It's Messi's year, baby. Let's go, Messi.
Oh, man. Once again, Argentina, Brazil. An absolute... Whoops, I gotta go over a little bit. Argentina, Brazil. An absolutely insane game right here.
Don't you dare pick Brazil.
This is practically like Bills Chiefs last year. I feel... Well, I suppose that wasn't the championship game. I feel like this game is practically gonna feel like the final almost. This is gonna have high intensity. This is gonna go wild. This game might get a little messy. Gosh,
good fun.
I'm too good. I think this might be a little low scoring, to be honest. I could see this being a 1-0 game Very, very tight all around. But guess what? I think this is the end of the road for Messi right here. I think, I'm going to be rooting for Messi. But I've got Brazil right here taking down the Argentinian squad.
I don't like that, but it's understandable. Brazil is such a solid squad. Now, remember, what did I say? It's going to be an interesting final that I'm going to choose here. And this is where Denmark's streaks end.
Put it up a little bit.
Yeah,
Sorry.
just put it up a little bit. This is where Denmark's streaks end. Their streak ends. If, as you can see, it's Denmark versus Germany. Germany, they're on such a streak right now. It's just like their 2014. And you know what? We're going to have a rematch in the 2014 finals.
Oh, man.
That's why I said it was going to be interesting.
Crazy. You know what? Here's what I'm telling Max and I will not share a team in the World Cup. Guess what? You know what I said with France earlier? I said Napoleon coming back for France. If you know a bit about history, you'll know Spain was France's Vietnam. Spain bogged France down with guerrilla warfare. They kept Napoleon from being able to conquer more, to be able to fight the British on the seas, to be able to go more into Central Europe, to be able to concentrate his forces on the Russians. Spain has been the downfall of Napoleon for so long. These two, separated by the Pyrenees Mountains, this is the squabble of the century. They may share Pheasant Island, which, very fun the way they share it. But these two, this won't be a fun squabble right here. France, they've got a lot of talent up front, but I'm just a little worried about that defense. The Spanish attack is gonna do enough. Spain is pulling this one out to face Brazil in the final.
What an intriguing final.
Oh, indeed.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're both to the final stage here. In my bracket, we got Argentina versus Germany. Your
In
turn.
my bracket, I've got Brazil versus Spain.
Oh, for a second, I thought they said Lucas Oil Stadium. I was like,
Lusail Stadium.
okay, so, all right, Argentina versus Germany. As we know, in just such an unfortunate game. I was watching that game at my grandparents' house. 2014, Germany and Argentina, well-fought battle goes into extra time. In the 100-something, like, in the last 10 minutes of the extra time, Mario Götze with a volley across the net, and he was the substitute. It wasn't even the starter. The substitute came in and scored against Argentina, and Messi, towards the end of the game, had a free kick, something that his was so clutch at the time, and he skied it. This is Messi's redemption. This is the time that the sun and the blue stripes, you know what? It's their year. It's Messi's year. He's done everything. He is the GOAT, greatest of all time. This is what defines him as better than Ronaldo.
Wow. Crazy what Max is saying right there. Guess what, boys? I've talked about history so much here. It's time to... 1 second.
No way, there's history between Spain and Brazil.
No, I'm not talking about... Actually, the Treaty of Tordesillas. Spain actually technically got part of Brazil in that right there.
Is that revenge now?
Both of the teams have won a World Cup in this decade. I was trying to think of when both of these teams had won. Spain in 2010 in South Africa. Brazil in 2002 in South Korea and Japan. That's in Asia. We back in Asia again. Qatar, it's gonna be the magic for the Brazilians. As much as I feel Spain's got a little magic, I just think top to bottom, Brazil's roster, it's stacked. Like I said, I feel that the bit of an odd, it's basically like how the Lakers won in the bubble. I feel this is almost going to have a bubble atmosphere. This is going to be a different World Cup. I feel that Brazil they can finally get away from all their pressures of being such a stacked team. I think Brazil pulls this out over Spain in PKs after a 2-2 draw
In PKs?
in regulation. Yeah, in PKs, their goalie situation comes in clutch. Brazil pulls out the World Cup.
Now, I'm quickly looking this up, but as you can see, a commonality between both of us. We both have a South American team winning, and I don't remember, but I know this is the first time in a while, as it was 2018, it was France, 2014, it was Germany, 2010, it was Spain. I'm trying to look at who the past winners were. Okay, Italy won in 2006, and the last time someone other than a European team won was in 2002 in Japan, which is an Asian country, and Brazil won that over Germany 2-0. Now, you know what? First in 20 years, a South American team has finally pulled it back, in our opinion. This is going to be a very interesting World Cup. I would suggest you guys tune into it, whether you're soccer fans or not. It's just the March Madness of soccer.
Yep, you might have to get up a little early in the morning if you're in America, like basically all of our audience. There might be some 5 a.m. games, but, you know, fight through it. Watch it during school, watch it during work. World Cup. It'll be going on during Thanksgiving break, a little bit during Christmas. Well, the final is December 18th. You know, we'll see what happens.
You know what? That's it. Sports Pod, we out.
Peace.
Peace.
Okay.
Dang.